Welcome back to the Tinkerage. This is the second of Dyson servicing videos. First one was on how to clean the beta bar from at the bottom. This one is about sorting out the loss of suction. Now Dyson are famed and they advertised that they're a no loss vacuum cleaner, and that claim is based around no loss as the canister fills up compared to a bagged cleaner, which as it gets more full will lose suction. So it maintains suction through the cleaning process, but they can lose suction over time, and that's due to the filters, one above the canister, one below the canister, that can become clogged. Now these canisters are fairly easy to replace. They're very easy to get hold of. You can of course buy the Dyson original equipment ones, or you can buy packs for just, I think, about £6 sterling, so probably less than $10 American, less than 10 euros, from companies like Amazon. These are generic. They contain all the parts, including the seals that you're going to need in order to replace those filters. Now, a HEPA filter, you can, if you have an air compressor or another vacuum cleaner, you can give it a bit of extra life with a blowout or with some vacuum. The top filter is actually washable, and it's recommended that you do wash it every 6 months. Now, if you're like most people, like me, you forget to do that. I bought a spare pack, and I will take the filter out of here and I will show you how to wash that. What's key is that you can't just wash it and put it straight back in. You have to let it dry out very, very thoroughly. So let's get started on the process. Now, how do you spot loss of suction? Now, it might be obvious that you're not picking up as much as you were previously. Maybe a rug is not getting as clean as it used to be. For us, the clue was in this mini turbo brush that we have, and it's powered by the vacuum itself, not electrically, but by the flow of air. If that's not spinning freely and at very high speed, you know you've lost suction somewhere. So step number one, I'm going to leave that off for the moment. Unplug. Don't do any work on a vacuum cleaner with it still plugged in and switched on. Now you could think, well, switching off is enough. My recommendation is always to unplug. The canister needs to come off. Now the first filter, the HEPA filter, is actually underneath this cover here. It's really quite tricky to release. There are three little clips, one at each side and one at the front, which need to be released. This is best done with some small screwdrivers. You don't want anything too long because the machine itself will get in the way. So I'm going to use these watchmaker screwdrivers. Now, I'm not going for the really small ones. I'm just trying to find something that's going to fit in here. Really easy to break these clips off if you're not careful. So I'm just trying to put that in and lift it up a little bit and apply some pressure. I'm then going to try and get this one underneath here. I might even need to get something a bit shorter. And I'm just trying to pull them up enough, not so much that it's going to snap off. It's a really easy thing to happen if you're not careful. But you have to get at least two moving at the same time to really release them. If you just try and do one at a time, they tend not to move very much. So it can be a bit tricky. Might be worth getting somebody to maybe give you a hand if you're not the sort of person that finds things like this easy. You might find it helps to tip it back. You just then got to make sure that it doesn't roll away from you. Working on the floor can make that a lot easier. I'm just going to stand in front of it, stop it rolling off my improvised bench. I can't do this on the main bench. There's just not enough height. So push that underneath there, giving it a little bit of a wiggle in order to move it under. Again, not pushing it too far. But I'm going to try and do the same then, holding that in place on the left hand side. Again, giving it a little bit of a wiggle just to try and lift that. Once you get one side moving up, generally then the third side will come fairly easily. I sometimes find it helps just to get another screwdriver in. The thicker the better, as long as it fits inside that slot. It's less likely to cause any damage. And that side's now released, so that moves a little bit more freely. There we go. And so just one more side to go. Should I need the one screwdriver now, I should be able to apply enough pressure just with my hand to move that up. There we go. That does come away. That's okay. And there's the HEPA filter. And that's what it currently looks like. And that's what the new one in the bag looks like. So that's not great. You can see the seal around here, rubber seal. That's been in there for quite a long time. You can see there's even been a build-up of hair in there. Now the new HEPA filter needs a couple of these seals to go in place. Now they nestle in here. The easiest way that I know of to get them in the right place on the HEPA filter is to actually install them in here first of all. Make sure that the length is right. One of these is just ever so slightly too long. Let me look to the other side so that you can see that. So I've got it resting on the ledge where it needs to sit. They're meeting here, but they're overlapping there. So that's about 5 millimeters, probably about 1/4 of an inch, just under. Now you could try and fit them on here, but I think it's easier to make sure they're the right length, fit in nicely, take the protective back off, and just slot that in there, and everything will line up nicely. So I'm just going to take a fine pen, mark that. I can then take out that one that's too long, a little mark on it, and then just with a sharp pair of scissors snip that off just inside of the line. Again, double check the fit, and now they fit nicely together. So I can pull off that protective paper. I was just starting to pull it off. Put that back in place. Start the other one. Put it back in place because they're easier to handle with the protective paper on. And once they're in place, just using a fingernail to hold it down. Take off the protective paper. If you find it lifting up, you need something, just use maybe a small screwdriver to put it back down in. And if you're not careful, it will stick to your screwdriver and stick to you. So make sure they're in. Take on the new HEPA filter and then just push down on that. Should be able to make little adjustments if it's not quite right. Putting this back into place will push that down in. You can always give it a bit of a push. Now, remember to put this in at an angle. And then just push down firmly. Probably easier to have this straighten back up. And should just snap into place. Now while you've got this open, you might want to just get a clean rag and maybe some surface cleaner. And give the inside of this just a wipe down. Do make sure, you might prefer to do this before you install the HEPA filter, because you don't want your HEPA filter getting wet. Now I can't back this up with any statistics, but I'd be fairly confident to hypothesize that a good many Dyson vacuum cleaners are replaced because the users don't know, because they haven't read the instructions maybe, or had a look on the internet, that the HEPA filter can be replaced. And that has a massive effect on suction, as does the next filter. The next filter is actually in the head of the canister. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so I've got the canister here, and this filter is actually located underneath the little clip that says filter. So good idea, just take the tools off so they don't go flying. Now, much easier than the other one. This can be done by just a finger lifting up. So you're just lifting up the clip just to ease the pressure on there, and lifts up, and here's the filter. Now again, not looking the best. There's hair in here, and it's very, very dusty. Now this will pull out. This is just a piece of foam. Now there's an inner part, and then the foam. You can see how the dust is pervaded all the way through that. That's not great. Now this is very easy to wash. I'm not going to show you the process for washing it. Basically, just stick it in some water, under some running water, squeeze it just like a sponge, because that's what it is. It's just a foam, it's just a sponge. So squeeze it out, just keep doing that under running water until it runs clear. Once it's running clear, you know it's going to be clean. Same for this, under running water. You can't do anything really, maybe like an old soft toothbrush might help a little bit, but it's a little bit harder. Don't poke through this, because that will actually reduce its effectiveness as a filter. So that can be cleaned, and I will clean that and keep that as a spare. If you are going to use this, you can vacuum it first as well if you've got another vacuum. So I've got the workshop vacuum, so I could give that a bit of a vacuum. We can clean the inside here. It's very dusty on the inside. That's where the dust goes, so I'm not going to worry about cleaning that. There are some YouTube channels that show you how to completely wash the inside of this, and some websites and how to clean the vortex. But I've checked. You can just look through. You can use a torch just to see if any of those are blocked. These are fine. I've already checked that. So I'm just going to pop the fresh filter in. As I said, this was just a few pounds on Amazon. We've got Prime, so it's next day delivery. It does say wash and dry thoroughly, heavy use monthly, light use 6 monthly, replace annually. So even if you wash them, do have a finite life. I have to admit, we don't do that as we should. It's like a lot of things, you kind of, unless you put it in your diary, you tend to forget. So that just pops into there. Filter goes down, just clean off any other kind of hairs that are in the way. And the push goes into place. That then can go back onto there and should be all set to use. That's really improved the suction of that. Although it was turning the turbine on here, I don't know if there'll be a noticeable difference. That's made a massive difference. You might not have been able to tell through the camera, but the speed of that was significantly higher, which tells me that there's more airflow. That's what I was looking for. So now this is nice and clean and back in good working order. Let's go and give it to one of my children to get on with the cleaning. Don't forget, if you like this video, please do click like. If you like what I do, please do hit subscribe. Do check out the other video that I've made about servicing Dyson. There's other things that you'd like me to look at with regard to servicing the Dyson. I'm not going to go full blown and take the motor out. That's not something I want to do on something that's perfectly serviceable. 10 years old, and I think it should be good for another 10 years. Do put something in the comments. Bye for now.